Welcome to Lesson 7, Ego Strengthening Therapy. Now, just before I cover that, I want to mention a couple of little quick tips regarding your voice tone when you are hypnotizing people and doing sessions, okay? People have that stereotypical idea that a hypnotist, when he's helping people or she's helping people to relax more completely, that the voice becomes somewhat slower, more of a lower tone. And because people believe that, it's easier to play with their misconceptions, because that's not necessary. But if we do that, they're more likely to believe it and expect what we do to work. And also it does tend to become mind-numbingly boring and help people to just consciously drift off, and therefore we get them into hypnosis easier. So generally speaking, when we want people to relax and go deeper, our voice tone becomes lower, more monotonous and slower. And when we're waking people up or getting them to visualise positive changes in the future, it's because we're going to wake them up, and in a few moments' time, on the count of 10, they'll be wide awake, they're going to feel fantastic, energised. It's more the voice tone goes upwards for waking people up, voice tone goes downwards for putting people down to sleep. That's the way to remember it. So it is with numbers. When we're awakening people from trance, we always count numbers upwards, because by counting the numbers up, it's like getting up in the morning, waking up in the morning, coming back up out of it. That's how to remember it. So we always count from 1 to 10, and on the count of 10, you'll instantly be wide awake. I'll explain the awakening properly later in another lesson. And when they're going to sleep, we always count backwards. So, I'm going to count backwards from 3 to 1, and your eyelids will be locked, glued, welded, cemented together. Or you're going to go down that staircase of relaxation. And I'm going to count backwards from 10 down to 1. And it's the idea of the numbers going backwards, the numbers going down, going deeper, like putting the baby down to sleep. So there's inbuilt suggestions in doing it that way as well. In terms of ego strengthening therapy, we've already addressed in an earlier lesson that the real key is making the client feel loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued, thus in turn building up their levels of self-confidence, self-image, self-esteem, self-control, to have a positive knock-on effect to their feelings of self-worth and self-love. So that's what this is all about, and the accompanying fast track guide and also the accompanying PDFs, I've got an exact word for word script for ego strengthening therapy at this stage of things that you could literally just read or use words of that state. So this lesson's really, really short, except to say that my whole complete mind therapy session, which we'll come to in a later lesson, every element of that is geared up for ego strengthening as well as helping with the issue, because I know and have found out over the past 30 odd years in this industry of training thousands of successful therapists around the world that the underlying things are an imbalance in one of those emotional areas I mentioned, and if we deal with them, then it's so much easier for the client to leave our offices and leave all that self-blame, shame, guilt and regret behind and make those changes they always could have done if they'd seen us sooner. So look at the accompanying stuff, and I will see you in the next lesson.